Yeah, this is kind of strange, but it all worked out in the end. Hi everybody, Beanmeister22 here. If you have pet spiders, lizards, snakes, you have to keep feeders for them. And most animals in this genre will not eat dead feeders. So you get different bugs and crickets and worms and you feed them. You have to feed them live food. These are hornworms, also called tobacco worms and Goliath worms. They are not legal in all U.S. states because they will turn into a hawkmoth, I believe, or some kind of big moth like that. And I think they're trying to protect crops in a region. So I used to buy these all day long on Amazon. And then one day it popped up, hey, we can't send these to your region or your state or your area. And then the retailers would change the name. Now they're called Goliath worms. And you can buy them online for several months. And then they say, hey, we're on to you. You can't buy these in your area. So if this looks familiar to you, but the name tobacco worm or hornworm or Goliath worm is not familiar to you, it's because these have many different names. With that said, one of the problems with these worms, and I was just thinking about this the other day too, is if they grow large enough, they can actually pop the lid off their container. And if you keep it warm, they will grow very quickly. So it's very important to put that lid on as snugly as possible. And I said I was just thinking about this the other day. I said, man, I hope this guy's not too big and isn't going to force his way out of there. And sure enough, the next morning, bam, this is what it looks like. The lid's all off to the side, and oh man. So I'm looking all around for this thing, on the ground, underneath the table, all kind of weird places on the table. They're not like slugs, so they're not going to leave a slug trail. They might leave a poop trail, and their poops are just these little weird round things because food goes right through them. I looked for it for a day and a half and couldn't find it and say, well, maybe it'll be attracted towards the spider tanks and the heat, and then it'll go into a little cocoon, and then there'll be this big moth flopping around here, and I'll catch it. So I'm sitting here in my office doing some work on my computer, and I keep hearing this sound of like paper crinkling or something. So I whip around, and I don't see anything. I had a couple of these plastic tubs with some documents in there that I was sorting through, so I went and looked at that. Is that the sound of crinkling paper? No. And I probably heard this maybe a dozen times throughout the day. And I was starting to get frustrated. And then I finally said, wow, that almost sounds like it's one of those grocery bags that I use as trash bags. And sure enough, I went over and looked in there, and there it was, right in the bottom. And look, he's got a poop next to him. So yes, he escaped, lived in a trash bag for at least a day, maybe, day and a half. The trash bag was actually about 2 feet from the table. So he had to have went off the end of the table, bam, fell on the floor, crawled across the floor, climbed up the side of the trash bag and into there. I don't know what he was doing. But as you can see here, he is now where he is supposed to be. He's spending his last days in the habitat with my green bottle blue tarantula. I think they will become friends and have a nice lunch together. All right, leave your comments in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching.
Beanmeister22, the most dangerous man on YouTube.